So I'm someone that does a decent amount of backpacking. One of the key things that I feel like is most important in going on a backpacking trip is having a quality experience. And I had a thought process the other day. What piece of gear or pieces of gear are the most impactful in my backpacking? Now, when I'm talking about gear that creates an impact in your backpacking, I'm not necessarily referring to something that's like, oh, that's a cool piece of gear and that was a lot of fun. I'm talking about gear that actually has a positive impact on your overall experience out on the trail. Because I feel like it's really important for you to plan a trip that creates something that is going to be memorable. You're going to have a good time. You're going to be doing things that you're like, man, I want to keep doing this. This is a lot of fun. And so what are the pieces of gear that are critical in a way for creating an opportunity for you to have that really positive experience that you want to have? And so let's talk about some of the most impactful pieces of gear that create an opportunity for a great experience and create confidence in going out to make that a possibility. So piece of gear number one is going to be a quality shelter system, whether that's a tent, a hammock with a tarp, or a tarp in a bivvy, just something that gets you out of the elements. You want a safe haven from heavy rain, from cold temperatures, from gusty winds, something that just gives you the confidence to be able to feel safe in that space that a shelter provides. And there's so many different options out there on the market, from really nice budget options to really expensive options. What's important though is to find a shelter system that is going to come from a reputable company that is proven to work in those situations where you have heavy winds and rain, and it's going to protect you. You want something that is going to provide a quality experience. The worst thing that you could do is go cheap on a tent or some kind of shelter system and it fails you when it needs to protect you in the most important parts of your trip. So having a tent leak or poles break or something that makes it just not a quality experience is what you absolutely want to avoid. To have that confidence, to have a quality experience in the backcountry, you gotta have a shelter system that just makes that experience really positive because of the protection that it provides. Next up, we're digging into the topic of safety. This is more focused around the idea of risk management and how that creates an impact on your overall experience. Now, some of it is a gear item like a quality first aid kit that has items in it that you know how to use that are going to give you the first aid attention that you would need if you fall into a situation where you need some medical attention. This can create a huge impact on your experience and feeling confident heading out into the backcountry. But even beyond a first aid kit, that could be getting some first aid education and training. But additionally, to feel confident that heading out on a trip, you are going to enjoy yourself, have a good experience, especially if you're going to an area that you've never been to before. That is actually the situation that I find myself in here pretty soon. I'm gonna go backpacking in Idaho, where I've never backpacked before. And I'm using onX Backcountry for me to plan my trip, plan my itinerary, map the route, and figure out campsites and everything. And I love using onX because A, it's super simple to use, B, it's very friendly on the wallet, and 3, it is a robust, super great app with a ton of features, mapping tools, route building tools, all sorts of layers for you to get a lot of information while you're out on a trip, but also to use as an offline resource. So this trip that I'm headed on here soon, I've got everything downloaded on my phone, so I have access to those waypoints, I have access to the water sources, my campsites, my mileage per day. I can see how much elevation gain and loss I'm going to have, and it's such an incredible tool to feel confident and make a huge impact on your experience out in the backcountry. love onX Backcountry. And additionally, in the same idea as a mapping software would be a satellite communication device. Now, my device of choice is the Zoleo satellite communicator. What does this do for creating an impact on your trip? Well, Zoleo specifically has some very neat features to it that I think are worth checking out. One of those is the fact that, yes, you have access to SOS and search and rescue communication. If you get hurt, emergency situation, somebody can come get you and help you out. Secondly, they've just released a really cool feature on the app called Medical Assist. So if you're not necessarily in an emergency situation, you can text back and forth with a medical professional to get information on what's happening. Maybe you've got a dislocation, maybe you've got something happening that you're like, I don't know if I really should press the SOS button. They will be able to help get you some advice on what to do to manage whatever's happening. Two-way communicator, easy way to pull weather reports. This is just a robust, super impactful piece of gear that can change your experience. These are very impactful on your experience and highly recommended. All right, so next up here is a high quality sleep system. This is going to consist of a sleeping bag or a quilt, a pillow, and your sleeping pad. This is so critical to feeling confident that when I head out on a trip, I've got good shelter and I've got something that is going to keep me warm and comfortable for my sleeping. And if for some reason I need to get into my shelter and just sit through a storm, oftentimes those storms will bring very cold temperatures with them as well. And having a high quality sleep system that matches the conditions that you are going to be in will make a huge difference in your experience. I'm also getting annihilated by mosquitoes right now. So let's talk about your sleeping bag first. Your sleeping bag needs to be rated for the temperatures that you're going to be sleeping in. So if I'm going to be in, let's say, freezing temperatures, then I want a sleeping bag that's rated for at least 20 degrees or colder. Maybe you know how you sleep and you tend to sleep a bit colder. So in that case, getting a 10-degree or even a 0-degree bag will make for a better experience when you go out on a trip. And choosing the right bag for you is also super important because you want to be able to sleep comfortably. And what I mean by that whole idea is maybe a mummy bag like this one here is not the best option for you. Maybe a quilt is more comfortable, or a more bed-like experience like a spoon-shaped bag from Nemo, or the sleeping system from Zenbivy that is like a quilt and a bed sheet and everything. So it's important to make sure that your sleep system is going to be comfortable and something that you'll enjoy, but also keep you warm for the temperatures that you're going to be in. But that's only half of the equation. Half of the warmth that you get from your sleep system is from your sleeping pad, because when you are laying down in your bag, you are compressing all of that insulation, and so you're losing that loftability that comes from being able to trap warm air inside of the bag. Mosquito, go away. I don't like you. So your sleeping pad needs to be an insulated sleeping pad that just protects you from the cold ground. Now there's so many different options of sleeping pads out there. I like to have something that has at least an R value of 3 or higher. That is going to ensure that I'm going to be nice and warm and comfortable down to freezing temperatures, no problem. But no good sleep system is complete without a quality pillow added to your sleep system. You're going to get terrible sleep if you don't have a good pillow. I'm convinced by that. Nobody should be stuffing their stuff sack with extra clothing and stuff and just sleeping miserably because you didn't want to carry a 2 or 3 ounce pillow. Absolutely add a pillow to your sleep system. It makes the biggest difference in enjoying yourself out on a backpacking trip. Man, I'm going to hate myself here in about 3 minutes with it being 90 degrees out here and I've got all these layers on. But the next thing to talk about is a quality layering system. Layers create such an impact in your experience out in the backcountry. If you can't get into your shelter system, you need something that is going to provide the ability for you to protect yourself from the rain, from the wind, from cold temperatures, and just make it so that you don't find yourself in a situation of potential hypothermia or just exposure, things that make it super uncomfortable to be out in the backcountry. So what I've got here is my go-to layering system that makes it really lightweight but also enjoyable for being out and provides that protection that I want. So as my most outer layer, I've got a rain shell. This is the Outdoor Vitals Tusher rain jacket. It's got a full hood, it is waterproof, it is a great option for my most outer shell where I want rain protection, but I've also got wind protection with this also. So when I take that off, my next layer below that is going to be my insulated layer, and that is going to be a down jacket or a synthetic jacket. Now this happens to be a synthetic filled jacket that is still super lightweight. I've got hand pockets for me to get my hands nice and warm out of the elements and such. This is just the quintessential layer that everybody should be carrying on a backpacking trip because it provides warmth and comfort and confidence to just feel like I can go out there, be in the cold, and still enjoy myself. But a layering system needs to consist of more than just a rain jacket and an insulated layer. You need a mid layer, something that is not going to provide so much heat trapment that a insulated down jacket or synthetic jacket would, but something that is a lightweight layer that gives some kind of protection from some wind or cold mornings, or you just need a little bit extra warmth. You're adding more layers to just create more insulation opportunity. This is the Outdoor Vitals Ventus hoodie, one of my favorite mid layers because I can use this as an active mid layer as well. Really, really enjoy this. So then lastly, underneath your mid layer is going to be your base layer. This is your next to skin piece of clothing that you have for sun protection, for quick drying with a sweat situation so that you're not just dripping with sweat and then when the sun goes down you get cold because you're still wet. Something that's going to dry super fast, whether that is a polyester material or a wool or something else that is quick drying. This is a critical piece to a layering system that provides so much protection. But one other piece of a layering system that gets overlooked, I think, is some kind of wind jacket. That could be something like this Outdoor Vitals Nebo. This is a wind layer that is slightly water resistant. It's not waterproof like a rain jacket, but this just takes the chill off without putting on a full insulated layer. It provides wind protection. This is a fabulous option for creating some additional confidence in your layering system. So a layering system, when well thought out, well put together, creates a huge impact on your experience. It provides warmth, protection, and comfort out in the backcountry. That is so, so important to your overall experience when you head out on a trip and when you're putting together your gear loadout. So when you think about your gear system, what creates the most impact on your experience when you head out into the backcountry? Let me know down in the comments section. But that is my list of gear that I feel like creates the biggest impact anytime I go out on a trip when I want to have a quality experience. These are the things that I think about the most that provide that opportunity. Thanks for watching today, guys. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. Hope you have an awesome day. See you later.